Hello Capricorn, welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Capricorn is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Capricorn, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And you are the magic maker, the magician card. Wonderful card. I think you're somebody with a high intelligence, first of all. I think you don't give yourself enough credit for how much you actually know about what you're doing. You know, your job or your skills or your life, or like raising kids or doing a business or paying bills or like building a company or investing or whatever it is, right? You know a lot more than you give yourself credit for. And I think that you need to have confidence in your conversations when you're talking about the things that you enjoy. People need to know that you know what you're talking about, you know. So you know, let's think about that. Anyway, I think you're a very adaptable person. I think that you find a way to blend in anywhere you go. Spirit could just drop ship you on a desert island and come back in a week and you will have created a civilization. You know how to thrive and prosper in any situation. But just because you can adapt to anything doesn't mean you should. Okay? So where in your life are you changing yourself too much in order to harmonize with the situation? Does that make sense? Because we all do that. We all have a very elastic persona. I mean, I guess most of us do. A very elastic persona, which means that we can go into any situation and we can change a little bit of our own shape in order to kind of get along in that new situation. Or when you go to work versus when you go to school, when you go home, when you're with your friends, when you're with your grandma, whatever, right? But sometimes we can do that too much. And then we start to forget what being our authentic self really feels like. So we need to check in with some other cards to see what's going on in your life right now. But you are the magic maker. You've got that 9. That 9 is a anxiety. It is a pain of separation. It's a pain of division. But we have a 9 of cups. Oh, okay. Interesting. Hanged man. Yep. Okay. I see where this is going. 7 of wands. 2 of wands. Oh, yeah. 2 of swords. The 8 of cups. The 10 of wands. And the fool. That's your authentic self. This is the spirit underneath the mask. Okay? I feel like that 9 of swords is you feeling like maybe you've gotten kind of far away from what you want, what you like, your personality, your character. Because the hanged man has been busy acquiescing, suffering, sacrificing, changing my shape for somebody else. So again, just because you can adapt to the situation around you doesn't mean you always should. Because sometimes we let the situation change who we are until we get that 9 of swords and we realize, I'm not having that anymore. Okay? So I think this is very good. I think it's the recognition that we need to remember who we are, and we may need to protect our energy more. We even may need to walk away from a situation that thinks it can change us too much. From maybe it's a person, maybe it's a relationship, it's a dynamic. Okay? It's a power dynamic where you're being expected to change your shape and in order to harmonize with everything else. And I think that the other person or people or the situation itself isn't willing to compromise and meet you halfway. So let's select our mystery card. Bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down right here. Tiny Bob Ross right on top. Happy little Bob. We're not going to look at that happy little card until the very end. It will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card is, put your prediction in the comments below. Now, as we look around the room, we see 1, 2, 3 major arcana cards. And they tell a story, don't they? The magician is trying to create the life, trying to manifest, trying to design and produce the life, the personal reality in which we're living. That's what the magician does. Okay? Whether we know it or not, whether we are doing it consciously and intentionally or not, the magician is creating our reality. It's our thoughts and feelings and our behaviors, our thoughts, words, and deeds, which are magical rituals that create our reality. The Hanged Man is us giving up too much of our sovereignty. It's us bending over backwards. It's us contorting and twisting ourselves in order to fit in somewhere. And that's our reality. But the Fool, on the other hand, the Fool is unapologetically ourselves. It's me. It's authenticity to the utmost degree. So I like the 3 majors, and I kind of see that we're having that realization that, okay, you know what, I've changed my shape too much, that I've changed, and you're good at change, you're very adaptable, etc. That is the magician. The magician has that ability to change our personality a little bit in order to get along in a particular environment, in order to optimize that exchange or that circumstance, right? But what happens when we realize that we're doing it too much and we're not comfortable, we're not happy with that anymore? Okay, so we've moved past that level of optimization to now we're just changing our shape, and we're allowing this other energy to come in and change us too much, beyond where we're comfortable. So the Fool then is us reconnecting with our true selves, and I think getting free of some sort of from that relationship. It doesn't have to be with a person. It could be a relationship with a particular place or a thing or some aspect of the environment, but most likely a person. There are people there, right? Everywhere you go, there they are. So we have our majors anyway. We've got fire, fire, fire. We've got water, water, air, air. No earth cards. Why no earth cards? Because it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter where physically on the geographical location of the earth this is taking place. It doesn't matter who the physical person is that this is happening with. What matters is your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors, your will, your intention. Okay? All that subtle stuff. The physical stuff right now doesn't matter because it's not about that. Okay? It's about your relationship with that. It's about the thoughts, words, and deeds. It's about your character. It's about you as the magician. Again, the magician, very, very adaptable. You have to realize that you have what it takes. That you have the skills, the talent, the knowledge. You've got the voice, and you've got to use that voice. Okay? You need the confidence. You need to step boldly forward right now into this 2 of Wands, into this control. You got to take control of the situation, not let the situation control you. You got to be the leader. You got to advocate for yourself. You've got to stand up for yourself. You've got to use your voice. Okay? There's an opening right now that's going to allow you to prove to yourself how effective you are how much you really do deserve this or belong here, or how much control you do have, or how much of a voice you really do have right now. Okay. I think that you've been dimming your light, perhaps, with some particular person or in a particular situation. So it might not be about the person, but it might be about whenever you're in that particular situation or that set of circumstances. Okay, so it's kind of like whenever you go to, whenever you're going to the school, right? You have to stand up in front of the class. That situation, doesn't matter who the kids are, who the teacher is. The people can be swapped, right? But it's that kind of a situation. Maybe it's public speaking, maybe it's some stage fright. It doesn't matter who the audience is or what you're presenting, it's just the fact that you're up there on stage. Okay? It could be the business meeting. It doesn't matter who the other people are. It doesn't matter what the business is or what it's about. It's just the fact that in that business meeting context, this is where we sort of shrink a little bit, you know? So that's why it doesn't matter about the earth cards. What matters is the situation, the dynamic itself. The players can be swapped in and out, you know what I mean? But anyway, I feel like you've been kind of choosing your words more, or you've been downplaying your skills, or you've been minimizing your talents or whatever, dimming your light a little bit. Maybe not being so direct. Yeah. Maybe allowing the other entity, the other people, or allowing the situation itself to, I don't want to say manipulate, but kind of, to mold and shape you, rather than you pushing back a little bit and molding and shaping the situation. So the business meeting, right, quote unquote, don't let the business meeting control who you are and how you behave and how you act and what you say and do and your confidence and all this stuff. You've got to walk into the room like you own the place. You know, you got to walk into that business meeting like you belong there. Not with arrogance, not with hubris, but with confidence. Okay, confidence. The Nine of Swords is a challenging card for sure. This is our experience. And this is the pain of separation. This is a misery multiplier. And it kind of is saying that the way things have been going now, they're not going to get better just all by themselves. We could say, well, maybe eventually this situation will become more fair. Maybe this situation will somehow benefit me by accident. It won't. Okay, it's not gonna accidentally benefit you. You need to push. You need to use your assertive energy. Okay. This, I think, is anxiety. This could be self-consciousness. This could be low self-esteem. Okay. This is agony. Yeah. This is we start to think negatively about ourselves. And we end up shrinking, when what we need to do is grow in stature, and we need to step boldly forward, and we need to speak up, and we need to say what we mean, and we need to raise our hand and volunteer the information, and you know what I mean? We need to own our presence in that room, whether this is at home, at work, at school, family, friends. Maybe this is a family situation. It's got, it's sometimes whenever I go to my parents' house, I feel like I'm 5 years old again. I feel like I can't do or say anything, you know. I feel molded and shaped just by that environment. Okay? And so I feel that, this is that kind of a psychological phenomena that's keeping us out of our true, authentic self energy. Being very hard on ourselves, speaking negatively about ourselves, getting anxious, get a stage fright. Okay, this is a panic attack, maybe, right? So we can seek support if this is really the case. We can seek professional support, spiritual support. We can remove things like, coffee and stuff like other stimulants like doom scrolling. If we're already kind of anxious, we can breathe, all this kind of stuff. We stretch our bodies, we can ground, go outside. But this is that pain of separation. It's kind of like when you step into that room, you're not able to do, think, and say the things that are going to create the life you want. And we feel like we're getting further away from our goal or our objective. It's like you go into the room, you really want to do, say, and think certain things that are going to lead to a positive outcome. But once we get there, we get so nervous, we end up not doing it. I got a lot to say. I want to get up. I want to say it, but I just stay in my chair and just watch other people do it. We've all been there. It's fear kind of, right? But it's a situation that feels intimidating, maybe. Maybe it's a power dynamic, and maybe it's it could be something literally that you just need to walk away from. But it's not something that we need to sit there and endure. We either change it or we change the environment. No changing you anymore. You've changed enough. The other side hasn't done anything for you, hasn't changed at all, right, for you. But you've done a lot of changing. This could be family, it could be a relationship, could be a so-called friendship. It doesn't feel very good. That much I know. Under the surface, 9 of Cups. This is what you want. This is what your soul is telling you. Look, there's a better way. There's abundance. And you know that you have this ability to create abundance. This is super abundance, right? This is joy and abundance on the physical, financial, mental, emotional, and spiritual creative planes. 3, 3, 3. Every dimension of your life, right? Getting better and better and better. This is a happiness multiplier. Your magic, your magician, has the ability to magnify and multiply happiness or magnify and multiply misery. Okay, and this is how it's been going now, because I think this is us letting the world change us, letting the wills of everybody else kind of overpower our own. Yeah, is that making sense? Is that resonating with you? This is what we want. This is what's inside of you. This is the life you want to create, a happy life. I want to walk a happy road. See, the happiness, this is how your life should feel. This is how magic should feel. This is how your path on the spiral road should feel when it's working. This is how it feels when it's not working. So right now, life is not being created in your best interest. Because I kind of feel as if our will is taking a back seat somewhere. And maybe we're molding and shaping ourselves to please other people. Maybe we're to avoid conflict. Maybe just to get along, or to be accepted or for approval or something like this. All sorts of reasons why, That's our hanged man. Our hanged man is acquiescence. Bending over backwards, going with the flow, suffering and sacrificing. Letting everybody else go first, and I'll take what's left over. Usually there's nothing left over, right? So this is us just kind of throwing up our hands or feeling as if we're powerless. Our hands are tied behind our back, and we're saying, well, I hope it works out for me. Yeah. This is that feeling where we realize that just simply hoping for it isn't going to make it happen. Feeling powerless, but that maybe someone will throw me a bone. Maybe someone will take pity on me and give me a good life, in this situation. And maybe things will turn out in a way that benefits me a little bit. No, not unless you do something. And I don't think this is your whole life. I think this is a particular circumstance, a particular situation with other people, obviously, right? Doing nothing, because this is powerlessness. We have a really wonderful dichotomy here. going from powerlessness to powerfulness. The Two of Wands is power, dominion. I'm owning this situation, right? And it's extreme. And maybe I'm speaking in too much like extreme language, saying this is like completely surrendering. The situation is molding me and manipulating me, and I'm just a little ball of clay. This is saying I'm controlling everything. I'm the boss. I'm the one that gets to just like create everything in this room, you know. And so we might be talking a little bit hyperbole, but you get the idea. And I think sometimes the tarot needs to be this extreme in order to illustrate the point. What could be more extreme than a 9 of Swords versus a 9 of Cups? Which one do you want? Maybe it should be like this. Do this, get this. Do this, get this. The choice is yours, Capricorn. I should end the video there, but we have more cards to talk about, right? The 7 of Wands is you standing up for yourself. This is like realizing that you're the underdog. Okay. Well, the underdog doesn't just lie down, roll over. That's the Hanged Man lying down, rolling over. No, the underdog says, put on my superhero cape and I'm gonna fight. Protect your energy. Stand up for yourself. Advocate for yourself in a way that is responsible and appropriate for the situation. But do it. And I think because this is at the top of the path of the dove, I feel like you're realizing that it's not time to just sit around and cross your fingers and hope things work out. Okay? It's, you know, the way a dog might roll over and show its belly because it's saying, you know, please don't hurt me, you know, please feed me. No, I think we're realizing that no one's going to come and save us. We need courage. We need defense. We need to stand up. Okay? There's a situation right now in your life that's giving you the chance to stand your ground and come out on top. Hold your position. Okay? You're being very brave right now. You're pushing through something that's difficult for you. You're saying the thing that needs to be said, even if your voice shakes, even if your voice cracks. Mine cracks all the time, you know that. Protect your boundaries. Don't let people overreach. Don't let people be too familiar and think that with that Hanged Man that they could just do whatever they want with no resistance. You're saying, no, there's a line here and you're not going to cross that line. Okay? And remember why you started. Remember why you're even in that room to begin with, because you're trying to do something. This is you kind of proving to yourself that you deserve to be there. You're taking that action right now that's proving that you've got your own back. You're choosing the principle over the approval. You don't care if people like you. You're not going to go out and just pick fights with people. It's not about fisticuffs. This is about you advocating for yourself. And if you pushing a little bit forward rather than letting everything just mold and shape you, if that's going to piss people off, tough beans. Yeah, tough beans. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody is going to like you, but they'll respect you. Don't let people take advantage of you. Don't let people manipulate you. You've got to have your own back. Okay? Courage is the refusal to abandon yourself in the face of opposition. That Hanged Man, in the face of opposition, the Hanged Man just says, okay, fine, I surrender. Fine, I give up. Whatever you want is what we'll do. You know, letting the situation overwhelm us and mold us and shape us. And I'll adapt. No matter how bad things get, okay, I'll adapt. I surrender. I give in. You're standing your ground. You're stronger than this. And the way forward for you is the Two of Wands. Dominion, power, will, direction, command. There's a clear path for you. It's giving you the chance to take command in a way, again, in a way that's going to work out in your favor. Choosing your direction and you're owning it. No more half commitment. No more when things get tough. I take off. No, when things get tough, we get tougher. You're trying to regain control. You're pushing back. You're taking ownership. You're taking a little bit of control, right? You're done letting someone else or even something else like fear or hesitation or insecurity drive the boat. You're steering the boat. Okay? You're taking control over your schedule or the environment in a real, concrete way. Speaking with clarity, speaking with confidence, leading the situation rather than giving your power away. This is the dichotomy between the Hanged Man and the Two of Wands. Don't give your power away. Lead the situation. Don't wait to be chosen or approved. Don't give your power away. Reclaim it. You're not going to use force. You're using strength. It's leadership. Okay? You grow and you succeed and you get happy. You get abundance when you realize that no one is coming to live your life for you. Stand in your power, Capricorn, okay? And subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, please, okay? The Two of Wands, the choice that we all have to make. Protecting your peace, right? That's kind of your general energy now. And sometimes we'll choose peace over conflict. You know, to be honest, my mom is like this. That she, and I don't mean to throw her under the bus or anything, love my mom, but she's a very strong woman, but she will bite her tongue when she needs to. She will not always stand up for herself. I know a lot of people that kind of operate this way. I think sometimes it's the best way to be. Pick our battles, you know. This is us choosing peace. This is us deciding not to enter into any conflicts. Choosing calm, choosing neutrality. Not always the right choice, though, is it? We feel like I don't want to get involved. I don't want to, I don't want to rock the boat. I'm not going to say anything. Whatever y'all want's what I'll do. I'll do and say whatever. I'll be whoever you need me to be as long as there's no fight. Protecting your peace. And I think there's nothing wrong with this. This is good. But when we realize that this is not ultimately leading me in the present moment, I may be protecting my peace. I'm just going to go along with whatever they're doing because I don't want to get agitated. And in the moment, that may feel like the right choice, but in the long term, what it's doing is it's tearing us apart on a soul level. Okay? It's shredding your aura. Okay? And so usually this is a very positive card. That's saying, you know what, I'm choosing not to feed into any conflict. I'm choosing my own peace of mind by not getting involved in the drama. And I think that we still need this card. This is a wonderful quality. Let's hang on to this. But let's pick our battles, not by avoiding conflict. Avoid 99% of the conflict, but some of the conflict you need to choose to go forward. You need to advocate for a particular direction. Otherwise, we become the hanged man, and we've acquiesced. We've basically given up. Okay? There is a direction where you must push your energy forward. Okay? This is someone who is avoiding conflict for the sake of calm. Okay? Choosing not to get involved. I'd rather be peaceful. Yeah, okay, sure. Except when it's not working anymore. Okay, now I'm choosing to stay neutral or to stay back or to stay compliant because I don't want to get agitated, but yet I'm torn up anyway. So obviously this isn't working anymore. We need a new approach. And I think, God bless my mom, wonderful woman, very strong. And I think that's the perfect kind of example here, because my mom, she would avoid 99% of conflicts. Very easily just say, yeah, that's fine, let's go do that. Nothing would disturb her until it did. Right? Very easygoing woman until you hit the right button, and then that was it. Okay? So again, kind of avoiding 99% of the conflict. But then that one thing, you've got to be willing to stand up. Okay. Now, the Eight of Cups is very interesting because this is the environment, this is the relationship. It's Saturn in Pisces. Basically, this is a situation that is restricting your ability to feel joy and happiness. It doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel conducive to your well-being. It doesn't feel like it has your best interest at heart. It's Saturn in this Pisces energy. This is Jupiter in Pisces. You're trying to grow and expand in your joy, feeling safe, feeling content, feeling love, feeling connection. This is the opposite. This is restricting you. This is something that's squeezing your ability to feel love and feel joy. So either it's a situation that doesn't feel safe, it doesn't feel respectful, it doesn't feel like it's conducive to your best life or conducive to your happiness. So the Magician can either adapt, as I see that that feels like how we've been doing it, just been adapting. In other words, I can change. The other option is I can change it. I can change the environment. I can change something about this situation to make it better. Or, third option, I can walk away. I can change the entire scene. I can redesign that part of my life. I don't have to be there anymore. If it's happening at work, at home, at school, I don't have to be there anymore. And like using my mom as the example. I hope she hears this. I love you, Mom. She would adapt the majority of the time until it got to a point where she'd had enough, and then she would change the situation. Okay? Rather than walking away and just saying, you know what, I'm out of here. It's advocating for ourselves and saying this situation needs to change. I'm not changing anymore in order to accommodate this. This has to change to accommodate a little bit more of me. Okay? And that's the 8, because it's something that's draining your hope, draining your good vibes, really. And in a certain sense, yeah, anything that is kind of draining your vitality, anything that does not resonate with you, anything that you're not vibing with, you should change. Okay? I either have to change so that I can vibe with you, you have to change so you can vibe with me, or we just give up. I go find something else that I can vibe with. But I feel like this is a situation where you feel like you deserve to be there. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. It'd be easy. You would just say, well, I don't like those people, or I don't like that situation. I want to go do something else. It's like you're in school, but every time you get called on, you kind of shrink and you get nervous, you get scared. Or if you have to stand up and give a presentation or show your work or whatever, we start to spiral out. Now, me personally, I've been in that situation, especially in school, and I'll walk away. And I'll say, forget it, I'm just going to quit. I don't think you're going to quit. I think you're going to find a way to mold and shape the situation so that it is more conducive to your goals. And sometimes even with this, we're talking about being more assertive. Well, that's you changing, isn't it? That's you stepping up into your power, and you're growing and changing your shape in an intentional way so that you can have more influence over the environment. You see what I'm saying? So either way, you're still growing, you're still changing shape, you're still, evolving, that sort of thing. The 10 of Wands in the position of the fear, worry, concern. This is sometimes the jail card. And to me, it feels like there is a lot of pressure that's building up here that needs to be released. We need to fix, things can't continue the way they're going. Okay, because we're about to either go supernova, or we're about to get crushed into, a dwarf star, or even worse, a black hole. We don't want either of those things to happen. Both of these are Saturn cards. So much pressure that either you're going to blow. See, this is Mars here, 2 Mars cards. What we want is this nice, gentle Jupiter energy. Okay? But now we have so much Saturn over here that we're starting to feel pretty Mars. And Mars is going to explode. If something doesn't change, Mars is going to blow up. Okay? Not literally, not the actual planet, but, this energy, it's an anger, it's a frustration that's growing because of this pressure. And I think it's because something is blocking you from moving forward. You have a desire to accomplish a certain something or achieve certain goals, but it feels like the environment is pushing back against you. So something really does need to change. It may be that there's an imbalance of power. It may be that somebody is really trying to manipulate everybody in the room, and that can't continue. Okay. It may be, even with this card, I kind of feel it as like you're doing all the work, somebody else is doing nothing. And that's like, okay, I'm not going to stand for that anymore. That's not going to work. Either you're going to get crushed under the weight of all that extra work, or you're just going to blow up. And so I feel like you're doing something positive now and productive to change this power dynamic. Okay? What should be 2 people doing kind of equal work, sharing the load, very often becomes one person doing everything, the other person doing nothing. And that's not going to work for you anymore. So something about this power dynamic needs to change. And I think the Fool there really is, this is kind of like just that joy, really. I feel like the Fool is freedom. The Fool is you taking a risk and leaping forward into kind of a new attitude, a new way of doing things. If it is some kind of a stage fright or some kind of a hesitation or a fear, or anxiety about stepping up and advocating for yourself and pushing yourself to do the difficult thing, right? The Fool is just doing it. The Fool is not giving yourself any time to even think about being anxious about it. The Fool is just getting up and doing it, right? Bypassing the mind and just going straight to the body. And I think that's kind of like, in a little bit of a way, that's it. It's kind of like the more I sit and think about it, the more anxious I get, the more self-conscious I get, the more insecure I get, and then I don't do it. Okay, then I find a way to say, well, maybe I can just do it tomorrow. Or maybe, this isn't the battle for me. Okay. The Fool is just getting up and doing something, just taking a leap. Okay. And I think that it feels like we've let go of a lot of baggage here. Like we've got ourselves free of something that was really overwhelming us, really just kind of crushing our energy. Yeah, this feels free. This feels like you're free to be yourself. You're free to go after your goals. It feels like we have been released from something. And maybe this is you up at the front of the class doing what you need to do. This is you standing up in the business meeting and giving your opinion or giving your report or like sharing your ideas. And maybe you're going to feel a little foolish. Good. There should be a little bit of that. Okay? But you're allowing yourself to be yourself. You're freeing your true essence from that kind of like energetic prison where you felt like you couldn't be yourself. You couldn't speak up. You couldn't do the things, you're manipulated by somebody else. or manipulated by the situation, or feeling overwhelmed by the situation, however you want to frame it. The Fool is now like free to move about the cabin. Okay. Let's look at the mystery card. Cups, maybe, right? Or maybe Pentacles. Maybe it's going to be Pentacles. I feel like an ace, maybe, or a 6. Let's see what we have. Oh, yeah, the 5 of Cups. The 5 of Cups is disappointment. Or it may be even the fear of disappointment. And maybe this is what's really keeping us from doing the difficult thing right now, is the anticipation that we're going to be bad at it. The anticipation that we're going to let somebody down, or that we're going to let ourselves down, or that I'm going to try to do something bold and I'm going to just fall flat on my face. Okay? I think the overthinking, the 9 of Swords, is going to make us fall flat on our face. The 9 of Swords is kind of like us tying our shoelaces together, sabotaging ourselves. And we will disappoint ourselves, and then that's going to reinforce us, that belief that's saying, see, I shouldn't have tried. I should have just stayed quiet in the corner and let everybody else do it. You know. Whereas the Fool is not even thinking about it, just getting up and doing it kind of with like a cheerful attitude, you know. It's just trying to have fun. Just doing it because it feels kind of exciting, kind of scary. Once we start thinking about it too much, that's when we start to fumble and falter. Okay. So I think in a large way here, the Fool is bypassing the mind and going straight to that bold action. You got to do the difficult thing. Don't overthink it. Just let it come through you naturally. This is a little bit of wu-wei here. Okay, effortless action. Not trying to force something. Okay, but just being strong and getting up and doing the thing that we want to do. Rather than sitting there thinking about it, and, you know, probably not doing it. We need a little bit of that spontaneous, effortless action. Do by not doing. Just let it flow through you. That's what the magician is ultimately trying to do, is just let that divine current flow through them. But sometimes our mind blocks the flow of that spiritual energy, that spiritual light, that cosmic consciousness, that spiritual impulse, the creative fire. Yeah. So we're going to do an extended reading as well. Please click on the link in the corner. There's also a link in the video description. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you are the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.